Good morning, everybody. Hey, I got something very important to talk about this morning. I want to talk about something that I was looking at the other night. And I'm telling you, what I saw last night kind of threw a boomerang at me. And I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I could not believe when I saw what I saw. I could not believe when I seen what I saw. And what's so funny and weird, what I saw, it'll blow your mind. I mean, it'll totally blow your mind. Okay, my first question is, 2020 is an even number. It's even because the 20's here and the 20's here. It's so funny how we got this president running for office again. And what is so weird about it, so funny about it, back in the old days, there was a woman named Sylvia Browne back in 1981. Sylvia Browne wrote a book about the end of days. She told you something in that book that would blow your mind. What was so funny about the thing she told in that book, I'm going to show you what she said. I'm going to show you the article about what she said. Sylvia Browne talked about the virus in 2020. And she's a predictor. Did she predict the virus in 2020? Did she actually say this? Well, there was a book that came out called The End of Days. So Sylvia Browne's book was called The End of Days. The End of Days, Sylvia Browne book. The funny thing, that book called The End of Days has this in it. End of Days. It's a book. In that book, it tells you something. I'm going to show you something. And this is so weird, but I'm going to show you something. The book is called End of Days. Let's turn the camera around so we can look at this. The book is called End of Days, The Prophecies of the End of the World. In the book, Sylvia Browne mentions about these verses. She talks about the prophecies of the end of days. So what's so weird, in this book, she talks about, coronavirus. She predicted the coronavirus about the book. And it's so funny, in that book, she reveals in that book, let me show you what she reveals on the page. What is so funny, in this book, we blow this page up. This is in her book, The End of Days. In a roundabout of a pneumonia, like an illness in 2020, the attack their lungs and the treatment, and the illness that will suddenly, quickly arrive and attack people and disappear. The strides of the mental health will be the first of the century. So how did she knew about that? How did she knew about that in the book of End of Days? Now we got another guy. His name is Dean Koontz. The book is called The Eyes of Darkness. Dean Koontz has his book called The Eyes of Darkness. He reveals the same thing. What is so funny, he does the same thing. In 2020, let me show you. He talks about in the book about the eyes of darkness. The name of the book, let me turn it around, is called The Eyes of Darkness. The weird thing, in his book, 1981, when this book came out, look what he reveals in his book. The one who and the 400 known as a perfect weapon, a bioweapon, a microchrome. And the weird thing, it talked about the eyes of darkness, and it talks about the corona disease. It talks about a disease, a microchrome will carry 400, and it talked about what's going on, what happens, and all that, and the degrees and everything. What is so funny, how does these two books come together? The one with Dean Koontz and the one with Sylvia Browne. How did both of these people knew? How did they knew that the coronavirus was going to happen? Was it played out by the government? Was it taken out by the government? Or was it all planned? Now 2020 is known as an angel number. What is so funny? How does Sylvia Browne knew about this? Now Sylvia Browne is dead. Both books came out in 1981. My question to you, how did they knew that this coronavirus was going to happen? Let me show you something else my sister showed me. My baby sister showed me. You have a bottle of Lysol. Okay? This is the bottle of Lysol. How is it so funny? We turn the camera around. Watch this. How is it so funny that the word human corona is on the back of a Lysol can? You see what I'm trying to make the point of? Now, it's the face mask they want you to wear. The face mask keeps people from breathing the air we breathe. It's so funny. They're making this a martial law. But in the Bible, it tells you about the face mask. It tells you about the end of days in the book of Revelations. It says, the last verse in Revelation says, and I will always be with you until the end of time, which means the end of days. Then it also shows you the verse in the Bible about the mask that we wear across our face, the holy mask we wear across our face. It also tells you about the end of darkness. It's in the book of Revelations. Where would that verse be? It would be in the verse marking the 3 6s, that we shall take the hand or the forehead, or we shall not eat. And it's so funny, since 2020's come around and Trump's running for president, they're making martial laws where you can't go in a store carrying a gun unless it's sealed. Did all that stuff, that protest happen with Florida about those kids getting shot? No. And none of these protests are going to happen today to help people that are dying. It's awful funny how George Floyd has a gold complete casket. Pure gold. And the pen that Nancy Pelosi had was pure gold. It's so funny how the Democrats had tried to impeach Trump. But the 2 articles of impeachment that Trump was impeached on does not fit the Constitution. They violate the Constitution. This makes Trump the president forever. And the funny thing about this, on this election, we got Joe Biden. It wants to pick a woman. The first time a woman was picked was when Walter Mondale picked Geraldine Ferraro in 1984, and she lost. She lost to 1984. Then we had another woman came in when John McCain was around in 2008. Sarah Palin was the vice president that he picked. And what did she say? You can put lipstick on a pig, but you can't put it on politics. Ain't that weird? So now we see Joe Biden, the third man to pick a woman for vice president. It's not going to work. America is not going to let this happen. Do you understand? America is not going to let this happen. We are going to stay forward. We're not going to move backwards. And this coronavirus that's happening in America, a lot of people believe it's a bioweapon to hurt Donald Trump. It's coming down to this. And people know for a fact that they want to make this shot that you have to take. So when you take that shot, it will have the RFID chip that will go in your hand or your forehead. The Bible tells you about this. And the 2 marks of the 6s were Ronald Reagan by his 3 names. Ronald Wilson Reagan, 666. When Obama came into office, the next day of the Illinois lottery, the pick 3 was 666. Now you tell me, is it all planned? Is it all ready to happen? Are we getting ready to see the New World Order? On the back of the $1 bill it says Novus Novotos, means New World Order. NWO means New World Order. But if you take the NWO and flip it around, it means what? Now. It's kind of funny how everything is starting to take place. Now you see China is sending these seeds to everybody in the world. Sending these seeds to everybody in the world. It's weird, isn't it? They're sending these seeds all over the world to people. And now we got protests going on in Indiana, Louisville, Kentucky, all over the world. The world's becoming chaos. The Bible tells you about this. The Bible also tells you about going into your own secret home and staying there. It even tells you that Daniel, that predict the holy man with the 3 sevens. And that answer is Donald Trump. It is so funny how all these things are falling in place. It is so funny how these things are working. It is so funny that people knows what's happening. And I just seen this morning on the news that Joe Biden only has a 30% chance of beating Trump. And the weird thing about it, Trump, and I hate to be the one to say this, and I hate to hurt him. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings over this, but Trump is the new Cyrus. Have you seen that coin they got out? That's got Trump on one side and Cyrus on the other side. And it talks about the 3 temples. The temple of the United States, the temple of Israel, the temple of the foreign countries. It's on the coin. It's a coin called the Cyrus coin. And Israel put it out after Trump declared Israel as a new city. Build as a new city. The funny thing is, Trump's name is in the Bible 2 times. The funny thing, the first verse tells you. It's in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 52. And it talks about where he'll be the last trump. You don't believe me? Go look. The second verse is Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 16 and 17. Remember, he ran in 2016. He won in 2017. And it says in there about the archangel. It tells you, and God descended from heaven an archangel. The funny weird thing about it, it tells you another verse in the Bible where it talks about the wall. There was a TV show that came on many years ago with 70 episodes in it. And it had a man named Trump in it. And he says, trust me, I can build the wall. And you know, God told you to build a boat. Noah did, with the number 614. Donald Trump's birthday is 614. He has 8 children in his family, just like Noah's Ark. So 8 and 8 comes together, gives you 16, the year that Trump ran for president. So when Trump got into office, the first day was January 20th, 2017. 3 years later, we are voting for this man again to put him back into office. The number would be 21. The first 3 sevens is the old age, 17 letters in his name, and the 17 on the end. The second 7 comes to be 21 when he comes into office on the first day of January 20th. His first day he starts full service as a president is on the 21st of January of 2017. The third 21 will come into place when Donald Trump beats Joe Biden. It would be 1, 21, 21. You add all 3 21s up and you get the former president known as John F. Kennedy. The weird thing about John F. Kennedy, Donald Trump's middle name is John. Ain't that weird? Ain't that funny? It's already prophesied. Everything's already set to go. We have faith. We believe in him. And if you think that the coronavirus is going to stop people from dying, it's funny. Because all these things that are happening are so weird. Listen to what I'm saying. We are not ready for a vice president woman. And if he picks a vice president woman, it's all over with. Because America knows what's going to happen. If Biden can't perform his service after he's president, then that makes the first woman history president. If people can't vote him in, a woman president like Hillary Clinton in 2016, this is another way that Americans are going to try it. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. And that's all I got to say. Thank you, and God bless you.